And here he is, back from that horrendous training injury that has basically obliterated 2022 for him. Egan Bernal back, though, last week at the Denmark Tour. Didn't finish it in the end, climbed off on stage 5, but up until that point had looked good, had done plenty of work on the front, finished in 65th place in the individual time trial, and I think he would have been pretty happy with his return to action at the Tour of Denmark. Egan Bernal is back. How long it'll take before we fully know which Egan Bernal is back and how close he'll ever get to being the great champion that he was, none of us know, least of all Egan Bernal. But it's fabulous to see him back on a bike, and it's great to see him on the roads of the Deutschland Tour. How quickly he has actually recovered. Seems like only yesterday that we were talking about the possible end of his career. And those were a bit like the injuries with Chris Froome, injuries that you really should never underestimate. They could even have been life-threatening, certainly career-ending. And to have come back even to the shape that he's in now is a remarkable turn of events for Egan Bernal. And a compliment to the support team that have worked with him, both medically, surgically, and in physiotherapy, to get him into the shape that he is in now. There were no climbs, of course, at the Tour of Denmark, in which we can see how Egan Bernal, who is a pure climber, isn't he, see how he was performing. But we will get a chance at the Deutschland Tour to see Egan Bernal in action on a long climb in support of Adam Yates. I'd be pretty certain of that. But he'll be part of that machinery, as Adam Yates definitely will be eyeing the general classification here for the Ineos Grenadiers. Such an interesting figure, Bernal. Rider, a young rider still, who is perfectly prepared to have his say and to state his opinions and voice his mind. Entered the political arena to some extent with the elections in Colombia by backing one candidate, in the end the victorious candidate. Much to the admiration of some and to the distaste of others, but pretty brave for a rider to do that. Nico Dents coming to the line from DSM. And he's in provisional 16th place, 3:09 down. So, Adam Yates, let's not forget, 3:02 dead. And it is a hallmark of the way the Ineos Grenadiers race, whether they're on their full time trial specs or not, that they are well prepared for individual time trialing, and it's no surprise really that at the moment, as things stand, they've got 2 of the top 3 riders. They've got the first 2 places in terms of riders at the finish line. 500 meters to go for Egan Bernal. Of course, it was a time trial bike that he was riding when he had that terrible accident. Actually prompted his former teammate Chris Froome to call for time trial bikes to be banned. Well, at the moment they're doing this individual time trial on road bikes. Patrick Conrad is the rider from Bora Hansgrohe, who's just started his individual time trial. Egan Bernal comes to the line, and it's a good time from Bernal. That's a big effort. 41st provisionally, 11 seconds down on his teammate and his team leader, Adam Yates. But that was an explosive effort for Egan Bernal, those 2.6 kilometres. Doesn't look in too much distress there, and further encouraging signs for Egan Bernal. Patrick Conrad, what a superb ride he put in the other day as a lead-out man for Marco Haller at the Hamburg Cycle Classics race, where the work that he did on the front in the closing kilometres and through into the last kilometre, and right up until around about 250 metres to go, set up Marco Haller to take victory against none less than Wout van Aert. That's a good time from Stan van Tricht from Quickstep Alpha Vinyl. Yep, that is a very respectable time from Van Tricht, just 22 years of age. Picked up 4th place in the Dwars Doorhet Hageland one-day race in the east of Belgium this year. Yeah, it was a masterful lead out, going back to Patrick Conrad's contribution to Marco Haller's victory. Out-sprinting and out-thinking and out-tacticking Wout van Aert, and Jumbo-Visma took some doing. It was a group of 5 riders away. Everyone was assuming that it would be the simplest win possible for Wout van Aert, who admittedly has only just come back to racing since the Tour de France. But Conrad just kept everything locked down, and when he peeled off the front, Haller attacked, surprised Wout van Aert, attacked on the outside of a bend and held off the Belgian for victory. Marco Haller, incidentally, is also at this race. We've got just over around about 40 minutes of racing still to go here, and the best part of 40 riders still to see. Decent ride this from Patrick Conrad, along with Emmanuel Buchmann and Felix Großschartner, 3 riders to hold close in the general classification. And with that summit finish to Schauinsland coming up near Freiburg on stage 3. Very important. This is a good ride from Conrad. Is it going to be close to Adam Yates' time? It's going to be outside of Yates' time, but not by a great deal. That's a good ride from Conrad. Provisional 5th place, just inside 4 seconds down on Adam Yates, who, cool as a cucumber, is just checking his WhatsApps. Barely even bothered to look. Trouble is, in a individual time trial like this, at such spectacularly short distance, it's actually very hard to know which riders to pick out in the start list to say, well, he's a danger to Yates, he's a danger to Yates, because frankly, on their day, any of them could be. That is at the back of, well, just opposite where I'm commentating from here at the finish line. That is the Bauhaus Museum. Bauhaus, the architectural and artistic movement that was founded in 1919 by Walter Gropius. They moved to Weimar. They were in Weimar, where they developed their early works and ideas as a group of artists and as a movement until 1925, when the city had had enough of them, and they moved to Dessau and to Berlin eventually, and their work became, if anything, even more prominent until eventually they ran into trouble with the Nazi government in 1933. But their work is some of the most significant in terms of modernism, architecturally, and in terms of design and arts in the history of the 20th century. I went to that museum this morning, and if you ever get a chance to visit it, architecturally in itself, it's an absolute glory inside. And what it contains inside is a unique collection of Bauhaus material that was built here in Weimar itself. So there is the Bauhaus Museum facing the finishing line as we look at Juri Hollmann. Hollmann is an interesting rider, as Movistar continue. Well, they've struggled a great deal this year for the wins because they are in a real rebuilding phase at the moment. And they signed Juri Hollmann from DSM. He's something of a time trial specialist, Juri Hollmann. One of the oldest riders from the Lotto Kern, Marcel Meissen, 33 years of age, by far the oldest in a predominantly young team, coming to the finish line. The 2020 German national champion on the road, which was a result that surprised a lot of people. Riding in those days for Alpecin Phoenix, Marcel Meissen. That white building there has been serving as the race headquarters for the last couple of days, where the teams have been coming to collect their bits and pieces, stickers for the car, etc. On Goetheplatz. So we go back with Juri Hollmann. Just that little bump in the road that he gets over. Interesting to see how he goes. He's got a compatriot as well, 2 Germans riding for Movistar, Max Kanter being the other one. He is ex-DSM, rather, I should have said. Juri Hollmann. A time trialist, Max Kanter, a sprinter. Movistar being spearheaded by Ivan Sosa, whose individual time trial prologue was modest here. He's already got time to make up on a lot of his rivals. Significantly, the switch to Movistar hasn't really worked out for the young Colombian yet, Ivan Sosa. Scratching around for his form a little bit, but Holman's going well here. It's a decent time. Poof, that hurt. Lets his head drop there. As Alberto Bettiol is picked out on the start ramp now. It will be interesting to see how the Italian goes. The winner of the Tour of Flanders back in 2020. And we're just hearing that Mick van Dijk has gone through fastest at the checkpoint from Jumbo-Visma. Or at the finish line, actually. Alberto Bettiol is up and running. So Bettiol on the course, the Italian. How can he fare now? Because from time to time he has produced brilliant individual time trials, Bettiol. But here we are. This happened just a moment or two ago. Mick van Dijk from Jumbo-Visma getting the better of Adam Yates' time. We didn't see him particularly on the road. He was fourth fastest through the checkpoint, but my word, he went fast on that final kilometre. And Mick van Dijk from Jumbo-Visma is now on the hot seat as one Dutchman takes over and another Dutchman, the Dutch individual time trial champion, Bauke Mollema from Trek Segafredo, rolls off the start ramp. Well, Mick van Dijk. What can Bauke Mollema do? Great form this year, Mollema. And anyone who wins the individual time trial championship of the Netherlands is a fantastic time trial champion. It is probably, arguably, along with the Australian time trial championship, the Swiss one, and in years gone by as well, the British time trial championship, one of the hardest to win. And Bauke Mollema looks great in the red, white and blue of the Dutch national champion. But Mick van Dijk is the man to beat. There he is, Mick van Dijk, just 22 years of age. Went to the Tour of Denmark, finished 13th in the individual time trial there, at 12.2 kilometres. So he's been outside the top 10 consistently throughout his first year properly of racing for Jumbo-Visma at World Tour level. But he's posted a brilliant time there. Bauke Mollema, 1.5 minutes now into his effort. Van Dijk's time, 3:01.21. So, riders getting closer and closer to that 3-minute mark. Should get a sense now of how Bauke Mollema is going. The Dutchman just gets out of the saddle, goes through the Flamme Rouge there, and that's also simultaneously the checkpoint. As Alberto Bettiol comes towards the line, this is a good time from Bettiol. Is Bettiol going to take Van Dijk's time? It's going to be very close on the line. Bettiol sprinting for the line, and he's just outside. 0.81, provisional third place for him. So Yates holds on to second place. Bettiol looking round, sees that he is 0.8 of a second slow. There he is, the 22-year-old. Cool as a cucumber, the winner of the Flanders Tomorrow Tour in 2021. Finished in 7th place on GC at the Tour of Denmark, actually, after that couple of top 10 finishes. Well, one top 10 finish and that 13th place in the individual time trial. But here comes Bauke Mollema now. Mollema faster indeed through the splits, so Mollema could be about to take the time now. This is a good effort from Bauke Mollema. He's going to go very close, and Mollema's going to go fastest here. Mollema takes it away from Van Dijk, and by a huge margin as well. The first rider to go under 3 minutes. Bauke Mollema, brilliant from him. 2:58.7. 2:58.7. Bauke Mollema, as I say, the first rider to go under 3 minutes, and that is a big statement from Bauke Mollema. So, young Mick van Dijk's stay in the hot seat didn't last very long, did it? And this man might threaten it as well. Michael Bjerre now. from UAE Team Emirates, the Danish rider. Always a good individual time trialist here, Michael Bjerre. What can he do? You suspect, if the legs are good, a lot here. So Bauke Mollema will be towelling himself down and getting onto the hot seat. But in a couple of minutes' time, he's going to have to watch on and see what Michael Bjerre does as we go back onto the start ramp as well. Alex Krieger rode the Tour de France to great effect for Alpecin de Koning. Another German. Geoffrey Bouchard, pure climber, Bouchard. 15 seconds down on Mollema. Perfectly respectable from the man from AG2R Citroën. Michael Bjerre, that compact form of his. What a job that Michael Bjerre did at the Tour de France this year. Just immense at times, because his form wasn't great going in. He was something of a late call-up, but got stronger and stronger, turned himself inside out. Didn't see the best of him, but perhaps we're seeing a little bit more of the better of him the later this year goes on now. Well, by the looks of it, Bauke Mollema's time is not going to be threatened by Michael Bjerre. Substantially down on the best times at the split point. No, it looks as though he's going fast and pushing on. Michael Bjerre is going to be quite a way down on Bauke Mollema and the others at the top of the standings. Alex Krieger. Literally means warrior, his name. Alexander Krieger. Signed for this team in 2020 after spending 6 years with the Luxembourg Conti team, Leopard. Hit by a vehicle, actually, out training just before Christmas, which broke his left elbow and facial bones. And he only came back to racing at the Tour of Turkey this year, so he's had to come back, bounce back from a disrupted early season and those broken bones when he was hit by a vehicle. And sadly, that is a feature of so many riders' experience on these busy roads of Europe and beyond. Michael Bjerre leaving nothing behind on the road, but nonetheless, that's a relatively modest time for Michael Bjerre, and he didn't hold back. Go back to this rider, Alexander Krieger. Not a youngster, 29 years of age. Lives in Vaihingen an der Enz between Stuttgart, where the race finishes, and Karlsruhe in Baden-Württemberg. So eventually the race will be heading into his home roads. It's a bit of a transfer after stage 2, when the race repositions itself right down to the bottom left-hand corner of Germany, close to the French border, in Baden-Württemberg. Alpecin de Koning are a team without a climber. They're mostly built around, by the looks of it, Jakob Maretsko, their sprinter. But they have got versatile riders in their midst, like Scott Thwaites, Alexander Krieger himself. So they do have options to try and disrupt the race, which they enjoy doing. Three minutes and 11 seconds for Alexander Krieger. Just inside the provisional top 40 at the moment for the German from Baden-Württemberg. Well, we're nearing the business end, slowly but surely, of this individual time trial. Still to come, we've got Tobias Voss, Florian Seneschal, got Marco Haller, fresh from his victory, as Bauke Mollema tries to cool down. Sun just baking through a little gap in the marquee there. It's going to give him a different kind of a suntan line as we look down at one of the buildings in the Ilm Park. The Schloss Belvedere. Yet another, I mean, losing track of the numbers and the quality of the different Baroque constructions here in Weimar. Weimar perfectly preserved, has survived both the Allied attacks relatively unscathed in the towards the end of the Second World War. Bauke Mollema cracking open the water. How long will he hold on to his place in the hot seat? As I was saying, still to come, we've got the likes of Tobias Foss, who could go extremely well. Jonathan Milan, who will be interested to see how he goes. Ben Tulit is a brilliant individual time trialist too. Now watch out for Tulit. We know how well the Ineos Grenadiers have prepared for this race. And the young Briton, off he goes in his first full season with the Ineos Grenadiers on the road. Ben Tulit has impressed, particularly at the Giro d'Italia, where he got stronger and stronger in support of Richard Carapaz. Was often one of the last men in the mountains there for Richard Carapaz, and ultimately a campaign that's fell apart somewhat in terms of Carapaz's hopes of repeating his success of another Giro d'Italia victory. But Ben Tulit, riding his first Grand Tour, was an enormously strong helper. The man from Kent, with that cyclocross background. A cool customer, Ben Tulit, looks to the man of Bourne as if he has just appeared on the scene, a fully fledged and finished racer. And he can time trial, and be very, very interesting to see how well he goes over this 2.6 kilometres. Has the credentials, has a bit of everything in a lock-up. Ben Tulit could become the real deal. But he's at the start of what he hopes will be a long and very successful journey. Looks good when he's climbing, looks good as a time trialist. So Piccoli from Canada. James Piccoli, who is their leader, their GC leader for the Israel Premier Tech team, coming over the line. No Chris Froome here, he's at the Giro d'Italia, the Vuelta, I should say. Shadow's getting a little bit longer here. Early evening now, 6:20 local time here in Thüringen. Fastest man through this split points was Olaf Koy, but Mollema was only a thousandth of a second slower than him. Sam Welsford, the Australian from DSM. Good time for him. But at the moment, Mollema's time looks pretty safe. What a track pedigree Welsford has got. Former world champion in the scratch and in the team pursuit. Developing road career as well. As Tulit is within that final few hundred metres. When he turns here, there'll be 500 metres to go. Don't know how well he went through the split. He hasn't appeared on the timings particularly high up in the order. In fact, I can't see his name at all, so don't imagine that Tulit will be threatening Bauke Mollema too badly. Marco Haller, though, fresh from that amazing victory over Wout van Aert in the sprint in Hamburg, crosses the country down to central Germany and takes it up in Weimar. So Ben Tulit, he's 34th fastest as things stand at 3:10.59. Only one rider has gone under 3 minutes, and that's Bauke Mollema so far. Marco Haller was so emotional after taking that win over Wout van Aert, because he knows, as well as anybody else, having spent a lot of his career as a lead-out man, that the opportunities to beat a rider of Wout van Aert's extraordinary calibre come about only ever so seldom. And even when they come about, actually executing the plan and making it stick is so hard against an opponent like Wout van Aert. Jon Knolle, he's a very interesting rider at the moment. He's leading the Bundesliga standings. There is a Bundesliga amongst the German continental teams of 9 rounds. There are 6 down, 3 to go, and Jon Knolle of the Saris Ruvi Sauerland team is the leader on 794 points. His newest rival is on 728. He's a time trial specialist from Dortmund, and he stood out as a kid in Dortmund because he was into his bikes when everybody all around him were wearing the yellow of the famous football team, Borussia Dortmund. Well, there's a flash of yellow on his bike and on his team kit, but Jon Knolle, he's a very, very tall, very powerful rider. If memory serves me correctly, he was at this race last year, Jon Knolle, riding for the German national team, and I think he was riding for them anyway, and he was very impressive. As Halle goes through the 1.6 kilometres to go, 1K to go, I should say, 1.6 done. If he's going to repeat his success and take another sprint victory here, that really would be something for Marco Halle, but he's clearly on great form. But it's worth reiterating, it wasn't a bunch sprint in Hamburg. There were a group of 5 riders off the front, one of whom was Wout van Aert, one of whom was his teammate, Patrick Conrad. But he chose the unexpected route, attacked a long way out, opened up his sprint a long way out, around a sweeping left-hand bend. He went on the right-hand side, where Van Aert was looking for him on the left, didn't notice that the German had gone off on the right-hand side. The veteran German, very, very likeable character, is close to the finish line now. Knolle, those huge legs of his, 22 years of age, dominating the domestic scene in Germany at the moment, Jon Knolle. But this is his big stage, this is his big moment, and this is a good time for Marco Halle. Bauke Mollema's time is safe, but Halle's very competitive here, and further confirmation that Marco Halle is on scintillating form. Provisional top 10 for him, and with the sprints to come and the bonus seconds in mind, that was important, and Marco Halle is right in the mix as the story will begin to unfold in the coming stages after today's prologue to take the jersey. Mollema's day will come, he will hope, on the final climb, or the big climb, I should say. It's not the final stage, on stage 3, the Schauinsland. Can he take the jersey today, Mollema, and defend it all the way to there? Well, that's another question altogether, with the bonus seconds coming into play. So, Knolle pushing for the line. Meanwhile, back on the start ramp, Tobias Foss, the Norwegian individual time trial champion from Jumbo-Visma. He is the GC aspirant, the hope for Jumbo-Visma at the Deutschland Tour. Such a talent, such a versatile rider as well. Good time from Knolle, perfectly respectable. 120 riders on this start list, and at the moment he's in the top 50. Knolle. Expect him to get in breakaways and make life hard for the peloton in the days to come. Foss is an outstanding individual time trialist. Took the title back in June, that leads to him wearing that jersey. The winner of the Tour de l'Avenir back in 2019. Max Kanter, the second of the 2 Germans from Movistar. We saw Yuri Hollmann off the start ramp, a time trialist, and Max Kanter much more explosive than Hollmann. He is a sprinter, formerly of DSM. Has moved to Movistar. A very interesting move for a German sprinter to go to Movistar. Always jars a little bit when you look at it, but could yet be a really smart move, because Movistar so often go to stage races without a sprinter that the opportunity is there to stake a real claim and actually take your chances in a World Tour team. But Movistar are in dire trouble at the moment, along with Lotto Soudal and a number of other teams in their battle for points, UCI points that would guarantee their World Tour status next year. Here comes Tobias Foss, 25 years of age now. Twice the Norwegian national champion, back-to-back. Finished in the top 10, let's not forget, in the general classification at the Giro d'Italia in 2021. Miguel Heidemann, a German in the colours of B&B Hotels, one of 2 continental teams, pro teams. Now, how well is Foss doing? Don't think Voss was going that fast through the checkpoint. So I'll be surprised to see Voss doing too much here. He's got 30 seconds, less than 30 seconds to get to the line at 500 metres. Mollema is going to be safe, I think, from the threat posed by Jumbo-Visma's general classification hope. Tobias Voss. Ben Healy, Irish national champion, formerly in the road race discipline and in the individual time trial as well. Ex-Trinity Racing now for EF Education Easy Post. Voss coming to the line. Mollema can breathe easy. It's a good time, a very good time, but it's not fast enough to beat Bauke Mollema. Provisional 5th place for Voss. So Ben Healy on the road. After him, Matthias Schollmesser from Trek Segafredo. As we go back to follow this German rider, a student of mechanical engineering in Darmstadt, came up with a surprise victory in the under-23 time trial discipline last year. So he's a very good time trialist, finishing 2nd to Tony Martin, but in the senior category, but actually thereby claiming the under-23 time trial championship in Germany. He's a very talented rider. Miguel Heidemann of B&B Hotels. One of a number of these semi-pro riders in Germany who balances their studies or indeed their profession as a police officer, which some of them do. We saw Henry Uhlich earlier on post the best time. He's actually a serving police officer with the Bavarian State Police. Heidemann, as I said, a student of mechanical engineering in Darmstadt, in Hessen. B&B Hotels come here with Sebastian Schönberger, their Austrian all-rounder, really, is their best GC hope. And Jeremy Lecroix for the sprints, the man who performed very admirably at the Tour de France a number of times. So following Miguel Heidemann into the finish. Here he comes. Looks like a time trialist. Heidemann would probably have preferred a slightly longer time trial. Nevertheless, that's perfectly decent. Provisional 28th place at the moment, 10.545 seconds down on the best time of Bauke Mollema. Simon Geschke getting a huge ovation down at the start ramp, riding not for Cofidis, but for the German national team. The man whose progress was followed, I can tell you, with extreme attention to detail by the German viewing public. And they suffered with him when his King of the Mountains jersey at the Tour de France was taken away from him, essentially, by the points accorded on the big mountains and the summit finishes in the Pyrenees, which denied him on that final mountaintop final victory, denied him the jersey that he'd worked so hard for and had taken the lead of in the King of the Mountains competition. Didn't give up, but it was tough. Ben Healy posts a very good time here to provisional 3rd place for Ben Healy. The Irishman shakes his head, but that was a great ride from Ben Healy. He was 5th fastest at the split, 3rd fastest at the finish line. Good ride from Healy. He's a talented rider, Ben Healy, and a real prospect for EF Education Easy Post. So Simon Geschke, probably at the moment, as things stand, the most prominent German rider in terms of his profile, given what he's achieved at the Tour de France, or just failed to achieve, agonisingly, and then forced to wear the polka dot jersey, even though he was in 2nd place in the standings on the final day. And he was rightly quite emotional about that. The man whose greatest moment in his career dates back 7 years now to 2015, when he took that stage victory at the Tour de France. It does seem cruel the way the points are handed out in the King of the Mountains competition at the Tour. But Geschke making a point of coming to the Deutschland Tour in a way to celebrate his achievements at the Tour de France, his race at the Tour de France, and to take charge of a team of predominantly very young riders for the German team. Geschke's 36, Jonas Rapp is 28, but then his 4 other teammates are 22, 21, 20 and 20. So Simon Geschke at 36, very much the senior partner in the German national team. 6 riders per team, let's not forget. 20 teams in total. 1 national team, 2 pro teams, 3 continental teams, and the rest are all World Tour. It's the strongest start list in terms of World Tour participation, and indeed the names that the World Tour teams have sent to the race for a number of years. They know who he is, so identifiable, Simon Geschke. That thick beard of his. So a reminder of how things stand at the finish line. Bauke Mollema is the fastest at the moment and is not by any means guaranteed the stage win, the prologue win, and with it the race leader's jersey, because of the talent still to come. But his time still stands of 2:58.7. German television giving Geschke the honour of motorbike escort pretty much the whole way to the finish line here. Simon being shouted by the side of the road, and another German on the start ramp, Roger Kluge, the lead-out man for Caleb Ewan, or one of the lead-out men for Caleb Ewan. A man who's managed to balance prodigious achievements on the track and the road throughout his long career. And Geschke being cheered to the rafters here. This isn't about his prologue time, this is about the King of the Mountains competition at the Tour de France. Fabulous to see. Did his best, Simon Geschke, but he'll be waiting for stage 3 and the climb to Schauinsland. He'll have enjoyed the reception there, and that will give him great heart. So we've seen Roger Kluge off and running. After him come 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 riders. There's Kluge. Talking about prodigious achievements on the track, the next rider off the start ramp will be Jonathan Milan from Team Bahrain Victorious. And he is a gold medalist from the Tokyo Games. As we look back at Felix Gross, another rider. That's a good time from Felix Gross from UAE Team Emirates. A rider from Leipzig. Crashed heavily in Paris-Roubaix, and his season was disrupted for 4 long months as he recovered from a shoulder injury. But he's looking good, Felix Gross, and that was a very, very good prologue from him. Finally, he does look like he's cooled down a little bit. Bauke Mollema. Just hearing on race radio that the climber's jersey, which will be handed out because of this climb here, the fastest through the first 1.6 kilometres, is still Olaf Koy. And so despite the fact that he crashed on this corner, and it did look like a nasty crash, his consolation, if he can make it onto the podium, will be the King of the Mountains jersey. Ballestedt just finishes. Maurice Ballestedt, the German, just 21 years of age. He is in provisional 10th place at the moment, Maurice Ballestedt. Lovely honey-coloured sun beginning to set on the stucco walls and terracotta rooftops of the ancient city of Weimar. Maurice Ballestedt, 6th place on the stage of the Giro d'Italia, won in great fashion by Koen Bouwman on that punchy uphill finish. He was away in the breakaway that day. Just 21 years of age. A big, big prospect, Ballestedt. And at the moment, just about holding on to a top 10 place in the prologue. Man who needs very little introduction, but we'll give him one nonetheless. Romain Bardet. He is the 5th from last rider to go. He's had such a heavy racing programme. Went to the Giro d'Italia in scintillating form, seemingly. Looked like it might even be race-winning form, Romain Bardet, but then illness forced him out, and he had to recalibrate and rethink his entire season. Had his moments here and there at the Tour de France, but he comes to the Deutschland Tour as one of the big favourites, Romain Bardet. Little slow motion there of Roger Kluge finishing his prologue time trial. He is in provisional 18th place in a time 7.46 seconds slower than Bauke Mollema. Here's the world champion, Filippo Ganna. Denied victory at the European Championships. Denied victory in Copenhagen in the rain. Denied victory at the UAE Tour earlier on in the season, his first individual time trial. It's not been quite the same Filippo Ganna so far, who for the last 2 or 3 years has looked pretty much unbeatable. And it doesn't look like the same Filippo Ganna on a road bike. But it is the world champion. This is Filippo Ganna. This is a course, even though it's short, that should suit him. It's not overly technical, and his position on a bike, he's going to have to make it really, really work in his favour on this road bike. It's a strange sight, isn't it, to see Filippo Ganna on a road bike, not fully kitted out with all the aero equipment. But what can he do? He's a class act. He's a brilliant, brilliant rider. He had to abandon his ideas, his thoughts, his plans of attempting the hour record, which has just been bettered by Britain's Dan Bigham, incidentally. Filippo Ganna will have to take that on another day. But this is the first year on the road where it would be harsh to say he's had a setback, but he hasn't been dominant, Filippo Ganna, and he's not quite at the top of his level. Which can't be said for Yves Lampaert, back in the sunshine of Copenhagen at the end of June, beginning of July, where he took that scintillating victory over the opening individual time trial in Copenhagen. Can he repeat something similar here, Yves Lampaert? What a ride that was. And what emotion as well. When he gave that interview at the end of the race saying, I'm just a farmer's son from Belgium, things like that don't happen to people like me. Well, they do. Farmers' sons from Belgium happen to have been, throughout 100 years of history, some of the greatest riders in the history of the sport. And Yves Lampaert may not be a great of the sport, but my word, he's good. And he's been good at such a consistent level for so long. What can Lampaert do now? Long aero sleeves, regular road bike, 2 kilometers to go. Now, Bauke Mollema will be paying attention to these two riders in particular. They're on the road, still to come after them. Théo Delacroix, the young rider, French rider from Intermarché Wanty-Gobert. Ganna turning a massive gear there. Romain Bardet coming to the line. Bardet, good time from Bardet. Very good time. He's within 10 seconds of Bauke Mollema, and that is all right from Romain Bardet. Really raced like he meant that, quite clearly. Stops his bike computer, and I think he'll reflect on a perfectly decent, if not good, individual time trial here. Ganna, beautiful racing line from Ganna. So Ganna through very, very close to Olaf's split time, just a fraction of a second down. So Ganna could be going faster here. Remember, Mollema was faster through the last kilometre, and well, mighty frown here. Mollema, his victory might be snatched to him from Ganna. Let's have a look. Filippo Ganna still got a few seconds in hand. 5 seconds. Ganna, the world champion, is going to take it here from Mollema. Ganna, 1.8 seconds faster than Mollema. A return to form from Filippo Ganna, and a real statement over 2.6 kilometres. Ganna goes straight to the hot seat. The world champion has done it from the Ineos Grenadiers. He's going to have to wait and watch and see what the man coming 1 minute down the line can do, Yves Lampaert, but I think Ganna might have just done it there and then. Here's Lampaert. Lampaert, a very, very close time to Filippo Ganna through the split. Just 1/1000th of a second separating Yves Lampaert at the split from Filippo Ganna. So this is still right in the balance. Has Lampaert got anything left to give here? That's the finish line standings at the moment. Filippo Ganna there, 2 seconds, just inside 1.8 it was, faster than Bauke Mollema, but Lampaert was just 1/1000th of a second slower at the split. Lampaert gritting his teeth. Lampaert the big threat now to Filippo Ganna, but Ganna finished stronger than Lampaert. Lampaert fades a little bit in the final kilometre. Provisional third from him, 4.3 seconds in the end, slower than Filippo Ganna, who must have roared through that final kilometre. Ganna got it done in the final K, and done in style. Lampard losing so much time there. 4 seconds plus in the end, over 1 kilometre to Filippo Ganna. A rueful shake of the head from the Belgian. But what can you do? Ganna is in scintillating form. And here's the last rider on the road, Niels Pollitt, the winner of the Deutschland Tour last year. 4 stages last year at this race. He took victory and a little time gap on stage 3, took the leader's jersey. And then in the pouring rain on a circuit race around Nuremberg that was full of little climbs, Niels Pollitt, working for Pascal Ackermann as well to add confusion to his task, managed to nick some bonus seconds that allowed his teammate to take the win and Pollitt to take the general classification. It was a very, very clever bit of team riding, backed up by a very strong ride by Niels Pollitt too. So Filippo Ganna's, I think you can say, race-winning time as Delacroix comes to the line in 34th place. I think you can say Filippo Ganna has got this one, and Niels Pollitt will not be threatening Ganna. 2:56.89 to beat, otherwise Ganna will take the victory and take the first leader's jersey here at the Deutschland Tour. I don't think he's going to be denied. Pollitt's got 30 seconds to get to the line here, with just inside 500 metres to go. If he's going to deny Filippo Ganna, it's going to be a good time. Pollitt is a very good individual time trialist over a shorter distance. Suits him down to the ground, this kind of distance. But effectively, he's already declared to the German media that with the big summit finish to Schauinsland, he is in a race that he cannot defend. He can't win the Deutschland Tour. But nonetheless, he'll try and defend it here against Filippo Ganna in the prologue. It's a really good time from Pollitt. It's going to be, well, the 3rd best time. He drops Yves Lampaert off the podium and he nods his head in satisfaction there. And watch out, because Pollitt could still take that jersey back in the days to come. Good ride from the defending champion Niels Pollitt, but victory goes to Filippo Ganna. And that's it. Every rider has finished their prologue. Pollitt was close, but not close enough. Filippo Ganna takes the win, and he'll be really happy with that. Filippo Ganna wins by 2 seconds to Bauke Mollema, 3 seconds in the end to Niels Pollitt. Van Dijk in 4th place, Lampaert actually in 5th after all. Ben Healy, great ride from him in 5th. And of the out-and-out climbers, Adam Yates